Falling in love is one of the most beautiful feelings in the world, but it can also be one of the most complicated. Relationships are built on trust, emotional connection, and a shared vision for the future. But what happens when you start feeling like something is off? Maybe he seems distant, distracted, or hesitant to fully invest in your relationship. Maybe you've noticed little things that make you wonder if his heart is truly with you, or if a piece of it still belongs to someone else. These questions can linger in your mind, making you doubt not only his intentions, but also your own instincts. It's not always easy to spot the subtle signs that your partner may still be holding on to his past. Love can cloud our judgment, and we often convince ourselves to overlook behaviors that don't feel quite right. But ignoring these red flags can lead to confusion, heartbreak, and a lot of wasted time. If you've ever wondered whether he's truly moved on from his ex, or if remnants of that old relationship are still interfering with yours, you're not alone. Many people find themselves caught in this emotional limbo, trying to figure out whether they're building something real or simply competing with someone who's no longer in the picture. The truth is, men often have a hard time letting go of their past relationships, even when they claim they've moved on. Whether it's emotional baggage, lingering feelings, or unresolved issues, these elements can show up in surprising and sometimes hurtful ways. He might not even realize he's doing it, but his actions often speak louder than his words. It could be something as obvious as talking about his ex too often, or as subtle as avoiding future plans with you. These behaviors are like breadcrumbs, leading you to the realization that he's not fully over what once was. But don't worry, this isn't about blaming yourself or feeling inadequate. Recognizing these signs is about empowering yourself with knowledge and clarity. You deserve someone who's fully present in the relationship, someone who sees you as their future, not a placeholder for their past. By paying attention to these signs, you can take control of your emotions, protect your heart, and make decisions that are best for you. In this video, we'll dive into the 14 unmistakable signs that he's not over his ex, even if he acts like he is. These signs aren't meant to scare you, but to help you see the situation more clearly. From his lingering attachment to his ex's social media, to his reluctance to discuss the future, these behaviors will give you insight into where his heart truly lies. As we go through them, think about your own relationship and whether any of these sound familiar. And remember, this isn't about judgment, it's about understanding. So let's get started and uncover the truth behind his actions, so you can decide what's best for your happiness and peace of mind. 1. He talks about his ex more than he should. When someone brings up their ex more than necessary, it can be a subtle yet strong indicator that they're not fully over the past. This doesn't just happen in casual conversation. It can show up in unexpected moments, like when you're having a deep conversation or sharing a personal story. You might find him casually slipping his ex into a discussion about things that have nothing to do with her. Whether it's an old memory, a similar situation, or even something as simple as a song that reminds him of her. At first, you might think it's harmless, maybe even a sign of transparency, but the truth is, it shows an emotional attachment that hasn't faded. It's as if the past is lingering just beneath the surface, always ready to resurface in ways that could affect the present relationship. Constantly bringing up an ex can also make you feel like you're not truly in the moment with him. Instead of being engaged with you, it's as though part of his mind is stuck in the past, and this can create a disconnect between the two of you, leaving you wondering if you're really the one he's interested in or just someone he's passing time with until his emotions untangle themselves from the past. 2. He still keeps photos or mementos from his past relationship. If he still holds on to photos or mementos from his past relationship, it's a clear sign that he hasn't fully let go. These items, whether it's pictures, gifts, or letters, serve as tangible reminders of someone he once cared deeply about. The fact that they're still around suggests that he's not ready to move on. Or worse, he may be keeping a part of his heart anchored to his ex. It's not necessarily about being a sentimental person. It's about the emotional attachment these objects represent. If he's unable to part with something that links him to his ex, it can imply that he's not fully open to the idea of creating new memories with you. You might find these items hidden in places you'd never expect, like tucked away in a drawer, a box in the closet, or even framed and on display. When you discover these, it can feel like you're not only competing with the memory of his ex, but also with something that holds a significant place in his heart. This habit shows a reluctance to emotionally sever ties with the past. It's one thing to keep an item or two for nostalgic reasons, but when there's an emotional investment in these things, it can mean that his mind and heart are still in another relationship, leaving you feeling like an afterthought. 3. He compares you to his ex, often in subtle ways. When he compares you to his ex, even in subtle ways, it's a strong indication that he hasn't fully moved on. These comparisons may not always be overt, but when they happen, they can cut deep. Whether it's a passing comment like, "My ex used to do it this way," or a more indirect remark about how you handle situations differently, it shows that he's still measuring you against someone from his past. At first, you might brush it off, thinking it's just a harmless comment or a way for him to express something he's used to. But these comparisons, especially when they happen regularly, can make you feel like you're not enough. You start wondering if you're living up to the standards set by someone who is no longer in the picture. It's not just about the specific actions or habits being compared. It's about the emotional weight those comparisons carry. If he frequently brings up how his ex was better at certain things, or even just how they handled situations differently, it can create a sense of insecurity and doubt in your mind. This behavior subtly undermines the connection you're trying to build, making you feel like you're not being fully accepted for who you are, but rather as a substitute for someone else. 4. He gets defensive when you ask about his past. When he becomes defensive about his past, it reveals that there are unresolved emotions or discomfort regarding his previous relationship. Rather than being open and honest, he may avoid talking about his ex or react with irritation if the topic comes up. This defensiveness can manifest in different ways. He might get short with you, change the subject, or even become angry if you probe too much. This reaction doesn't necessarily mean he's hiding something scandalous, but it does indicate that he hasn't fully processed his past relationship. People who are still emotionally attached to their ex often feel threatened when their past is discussed because it forces them to confront feelings they aren't ready to deal with. When you ask questions, instead of providing clarity, he may feel like you're challenging him or questioning his loyalty. His defensiveness can also suggest a lack of transparency. A healthy relationship should allow for open conversations about the past without fear of judgment or anger. But when he clams up or reacts strongly, it indicates that he might not be ready to fully embrace his present with you, often because part of him is still tied to the past and isn't ready to let go. 5. He avoids certain topics because they remind him of his ex. When he deliberately avoids certain topics because they remind him of his ex, it's a clear sign that those memories or emotions are still weighing heavily on him. This could range from avoiding specific places, songs, or even conversations that trigger memories of his past relationship. It might seem like he's just trying to keep the peace or avoid discomfort, but in reality, it shows that he's still not emotionally detached from his ex. For example, he may steer clear of talking about things like vacations, favorite restaurants, or even certain hobbies that he used to enjoy with his ex. While it might seem considerate at first, this avoidance behavior reveals an underlying attachment. It shows that certain parts of his life are still strongly linked to his past, and he may not be ready to share them with you, as doing so would force him to confront unresolved feelings. By avoiding these topics, he's essentially protecting himself from dealing with the emotions connected to his ex. Unfortunately, this can create a barrier in your relationship because it prevents you from connecting on a deeper level. Instead of being able to talk about things openly, you might feel like there's a part of him that's still hidden away. and it leaves you wondering if you're really able to build something new together. 6. He still communicates with his ex on social media or through texts. When he still communicates with his ex on social media or through texts, it signals that there's a lingering connection that hasn't been fully cut off. In today's digital age, staying in touch with an ex through texts or social media platforms is often seen as a sign of unresolved emotional ties. Whether it's liking photos, commenting on each other's posts, or exchanging private messages, this kind of communication is usually more than just friendly. It suggests there's still some emotional investment. Even if the conversations seem casual or innocent, the fact that he's keeping this line of communication open means he's not fully closing the door on the past. It can be hurtful to see him engaging with someone who was once a significant part of his life while you're trying to build something meaningful together. His ongoing contact with his ex might be an indication that he's not completely over her, or that he feels comfortable maintaining that emotional connection, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable. This behavior can also be a red flag for boundaries. A healthy relationship is built on trust and respect, and part of that includes understanding the importance of setting clear boundaries with past relationships. If he's unable or unwilling to let go of his connection with his ex, it could mean that his heart and mind are still divided, leaving you in a situation where you might feel like you're competing for his full attention. 7. He gets jealous when you mention your ex or other people. When he gets jealous whenever you mention your ex or other people, it shows that he's not fully secure in your relationship. Jealousy is often rooted in insecurity or a fear of losing someone, and if he reacts strongly when you talk about your past or interact with others, it may be a sign that he's still emotionally attached to you or is worried about your commitment. Even if the jealousy seems subtle or is masked by humor, the underlying emotion is telling. His reaction indicates that he might feel threatened by the idea of you being involved with someone else or having a history with someone from your past. This can be especially tricky if he's still harboring unresolved feelings for his ex, as it highlights a lack of emotional closure. Instead of feeling secure and trusting in the bond you're building together, he might be comparing your past relationships with his, causing him to feel uneasy. This kind of jealousy often leads to emotional tension, as it can make you feel like you're walking on eggshells, unable to freely talk about your past without triggering a negative reaction. It also reflects a deeper issue, his unresolved feelings or insecurities, making it difficult to foster a truly open, trusting connection. 8. He still follows or likes his ex's social media posts. When he still follows or likes his ex's social media posts, it's a glaring sign that he hasn't completely moved on. In the world of social media, likes, follows, and interactions often hold more weight than they seem. These small gestures might seem harmless or even casual, but they can indicate that he's keeping tabs on his ex, either consciously or subconsciously. The act of liking or commenting on her posts, even if it's just a simple like on a picture, can suggest an ongoing emotional attachment. It's a way of staying connected to her without physically being in her life. If he continues to do this while in a relationship with you, it can make you feel like you're competing for his attention, not just emotionally, but also in a very public way. You might start wondering if he's emotionally available to you when his attention seems to be split. If he's still following her, it shows that she hasn't been fully removed from his life. It's possible that he's unable to sever that connection, even if he's in a new relationship. This behavior can cause discomfort, especially if you're looking for a partner who is fully committed to building something new with you, without the distractions of lingering feelings for someone else. It's hard to feel secure when you know he's keeping a line open to his past in such a visible and ongoing way. 9. He talks about what could have been with his ex. When he talks about what could have been with his ex, it's a sign that he's still mentally and emotionally stuck on that past relationship. These comments often reflect regret or a sense of loss, as if he's replaying the idea of what his life might have looked like if things had worked out differently with her. It's a subtle but powerful way of keeping his ex in his thoughts, and it may make you feel like you're not the one he's fully invested in. Such remarks often come up in moments of vulnerability or during discussions about the future. They may be framed as wistful musings like, "I always wondered what would have happened if we hadn't broken up," or "Things could have been so different if we had just worked through that issue." While these comments may seem harmless or even reflective, they suggest that he's not fully over the emotional attachments to his ex, leaving you feeling like you're competing with a version of his life that never came to fruition. These reflections on the past can create a sense of doubt in your own relationship as you begin to wonder if you're truly enough or if you're always going to be second to the what-ifs of his previous relationship. It's hard to build a future with someone when their focus is still stuck in the past, leaving you feeling uncertain about where you stand. 10. He gets overly emotional or distant when his ex is brought up. When he becomes overly emotional or distant when his ex is brought up, it's a clear sign that his feelings for her are unresolved. His reactions, whether they manifest as sudden anger, sadness, or withdrawal, show that the topic stirs up strong emotions he's not ready to confront. These emotional responses suggest that he's not completely over his past relationship, and it's affecting how he interacts with you in the present. If he gets overly emotional, it could mean that he's still grieving the end of the relationship, or that there are things left unsaid. On the other hand, if he becomes distant, it might be a defense mechanism to avoid dealing with the uncomfortable emotions that discussing his ex brings up. He may distance himself from you, either by becoming quiet, disengaged, or even shutting down completely. This emotional withdrawal can leave you feeling confused and unsure of where you stand in the relationship. Both of these reactions, emotional outbursts or withdrawal, are signs that he hasn't achieved closure, and it's affecting the connection he's trying to build with you. Instead of being fully present in the relationship with you, part of him is still tethered to the past, making it difficult for him to move forward. These emotional responses create an emotional distance between the two of you, preventing you from truly bonding and building a future together. 11. He doesn't want to make plans for the future with you. When he doesn't want to make plans for the future with you, it suggests that he might still be emotionally invested in his past relationship or unsure about where he stands with you. It can feel like you're stuck in limbo, unsure of whether he's truly committed to your relationship or if he's holding back, waiting for something from the past to resurface. His reluctance to discuss future plans, whether it's something as simple as vacations, moving in together, or long-term goals, can signal that he's not yet ready to fully commit. Instead of imagining a life ahead with you, his mind may still be caught up in uncertainty about what he wants or fears that he's not ready for a new chapter. It can also indicate that he's emotionally unavailable, unable to truly invest in a future with you, because his heart is still divided. This hesitancy to plan the future together can also stem from unresolved feelings for his ex. He may not want to go all in on a new relationship, while he's still unsure about his past. As frustrating as this can be for you, it's a sign that the emotional weight of his past is holding him back from taking your connection to the next level. If he's not planning a future with you, it might leave you feeling uncertain about where you truly stand in his life. 12. He's constantly on his phone and hides his messages. When he's constantly on his phone and hides his messages, it raises immediate red flags about his transparency and trustworthiness. If he's consistently glued to his screen, especially when you're around, it's often a sign that he's either hiding something or feels the need to keep certain things from you. The secrecy behind his messages, whether it's hiding them, quickly locking his phone when you walk by, or becoming defensive when you ask about them, suggests that he's trying to shield you from something that might make you uncomfortable. This behavior often points to a lack of honesty in the relationship. If he's hiding his messages, or being secretive about who he's talking to, it might be because he's still maintaining conversations with his ex or someone else that he doesn't want you to know about. The fact that he feels the need to hide things from you shows that he's not fully invested in building trust or a sense of openness with you. It can create a sense of paranoia or insecurity, making you question what he might be keeping from you. Being secretive about communication is a sign of emotional distance. It indicates that there's something he's not ready to let go of or share with you, and this lack of transparency can make you feel disconnected Trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and if he's constantly hiding his messages, it makes it hard to feel secure or fully involved in the partnership. 13. He seems indifferent or distracted during intimate moments. When he seems indifferent or distracted during intimate moments, it signals that his mind and emotions are elsewhere. Physical intimacy should foster a deeper connection and closeness, but if he's distracted, disinterested, or emotionally distant, it indicates a lack of full engagement in the relationship. This behavior can be especially concerning when you're trying to connect on a deeper, more personal level. His lack of enthusiasm or attention during these moments might make you feel like you're not fully present, or that he's not valuing the connection you're trying to build. If his mind is preoccupied, whether with past memories or lingering emotions about his ex, it makes it hard for him to be emotionally available or connect with you in a meaningful way. Sometimes this indifference can stem from unresolved feelings for someone else, as he might not be emotionally invested in your relationship at that moment. His inability to focus on you or a lack of interest in showing affection suggests that he's not fully present. It creates a barrier that prevents the bond from strengthening, leaving you wondering if he's truly committed to being with you or if his mind is still stuck on the past. The lack of emotional engagement during intimacy can leave you feeling rejected, confused, and uncertain about the depth of his feelings for you. 14. He avoids talking about relationship milestones, like anniversaries or future goals. When he avoids talking about relationship milestones, like anniversaries or future goals, it's a clear sign that he's not ready to fully invest in the relationship. Celebrating milestones, whether big or small, is an important part of showing commitment and building a deeper connection. If he constantly changes the subject or becomes uncomfortable when these topics come up, it suggests that he's not emotionally ready to move forward with you. This behavior often indicates that he's still unsure about the relationship or might still be holding on to unresolved feelings from his past. Anniversaries and future plans are opportunities to show that he's looking toward the future with you, but if he avoids them, it might mean he's hesitant about his level of commitment. He may be afraid of getting hurt or has doubts about the long-term potential of your connection. By dodging these conversations, he's creating emotional distance and not allowing your relationship to grow. It can leave you feeling unappreciated or unsure about where you stand. If he avoids acknowledging milestones, it might make you question whether he sees a future with you, or if he's still emotionally tied to the past. This lack of interest in celebrating your relationship can be hurtful and create feelings of doubt about his true intentions.